She came along the alley and up the black steps the way she always used to. Doc hadn't seen her for over a year. Nobody had. Back then it was always sandals, bottom half of a flower print bikini, faded Country and Joe, and the fish t-shirt. Tonight she was all in flatland gear. Hair a lot shorter than he remembered, looking like she just swore she'd never look. "Thank you, Shasta." "Think he's hallucinating?" "Just the new package, I guess." They stood in the street light through the kitchen window. They'd never been much point putting curtains over and listened to the thumping of the surf from down the hall. Some nights, when the wind was right, you could hear the surf all over town. "Need your help, Doc." "You know I have an office now, just like a day job and everything. I looked in the phone book, almost went over there. But then I thought, better for everybody if this looks like a secret rendezvous." "Okay, nothing romantic tonight. Bummer. But still it might be a paying gig. Somebody's keeping a close eye." Just spent an hour on the surface streets trying to make it look good. "How about a beer?" He went to the fridge, pulled 2 cans out of the case, and he kept inside. He handed one to Shasta. "There's this guy," she was saying. "There would be, but why get emotional? If he had a nickel for every time he heard a client start off this way, he could be over in Hawaii now, loaded day and night, digging the waves at Waimea, or better yet, hiring somebody to dig them for him. Gentlemen of the straightforward persuasion," he beamed. "Okay, Doc, he's married." "Some money situation?" She shook back hair that was there, and she raised an eyebrow. "So what? Groovy with Doc and the wife. She knows about you." Shasta nodded. "But she's seeing somebody too. Only it's just the usual. They're working together on some creepy little scheme to make off with the hubby's fortune. Yeah, I think I heard that happening once or twice around L.A. And you want me to do what, exactly?" He found the paper bag he'd brought his supper home in, and he got busy pretending to scribble notes on it. Because straight chick uniform makeup supposed to look like no makeup or whatever, here came that old well-known hard-on Shasta. Was always good for sooner or later. Does it ever end? He wondered. Of course it does. It did. They went to the front room and Doc laid down on the couch and Shasta stayed on her foot and sort of drifted around the place. "They want me in on it?" she said. "Think I'm the one who can reach him when he's vulnerable, or as much as he ever gets." "Bare ass and sleep. You're still trying to figure out if it's right or wrong, Shasta." "Worse than that." She drilled him, and with the gaze he remembered so well. When he remembered. "How much loyalty I owe him." "I hope you're not asking me. Beyond the usual boilerplate people. Oh, anybody. They're fucking steady." "Thanks. Dear Abby said about the same thing." "Groovy. Emotions aside, then let's look at the money. How much the rent he's picking up?" "All of it." Just for a second he caught the old narrow-eyed, defiant grin. "Pretty hefty. For Hancock Park." Doc whistled the title notes from Can't Buy Me Love, ignoring the look on her face. "You're giving him IOUs for everything, of course." "You fucker. If I know you were still this bitter. Me, trying to get professional here, is all. How much wifey and BF offering to cut you in for?" Shasta named a sum. Doc had outrun souped-up rolls full of indigent smack dealers on the Pasadena freeway, doing 100 in the fog and trying to steer through all those crudely engineered curves. He walked up the back alleys east of L.A. River with nothing but a borrowed throw pick and his baggies for protection. Been in and out of Hall of Justice while holding a small fortune in Vietnamese weed, and the days had nearly convinced him that all the reckless era was over with. But now he was beginning to feel nervous again. Carefully now. This isn't just a couple of X-rated Polaroids then. Back when, she could go weeks without saying anything more complicated than a pout. Now she was laying on some heavy combination of face ingredients on him that he couldn't read at all. Maybe something she picked up at acting school. "It isn't what you're thinking, Doc." "Don't worry. Thinking comes later. What else?" "I'm not sure, but it sounds like they want to commit him to some loony bin." "You mean legally? Or snatch of some kind?" "Nobody's telling me, Doc. I'm just the bait. Come to think of it, There'd never been this much sorrow in her voice either. Seeing, well, oh, you mean Penny. Nice flatland chick, out in search of a secret hippie love thrills, basically. Also some kind of junior DA in a Val Younger shop. Doc gave it some thought. You think somebody there can stop this before it happens? Not too many places I can go with this, Doc. Okay, I'll talk to Penny, see what I can see. You're happy couple they have names, addresses. When he heard her older gent's name, he said, "This is the same Mickey Wolfman who's always in the paper. The real estate's big shot." You can't tell anybody about this, Doc. Deaf and dumb, part of the job. Any phone numbers you'd like to share? She shrugged, scowled, gave him one number. Try never to use it. Groovy. And how do I reach you? You don't. I moved out of the old place. Staying where I can anymore. Don't ask. He almost said, "There's room here." Which in fact there wasn't, but he'd seen her looking around at everybody that hadn't changed. The authentic English pup dartboard up on the wagon wheel in the whorehouse, swag lamp with the purple psychedelic bulb with the vibrating filament, the collection of model hot rods made entirely of Coors cans, the beach volleyball autographed by Wilt Chamberlain in Dayglow felt marker, the velvet painting and so forth, with an expression, you would have to say, distaste. He walked her down the hill to where she was parked. Weeknights out there weren't too different from weekends. So this part of town was already all a hoot with fun seekers, drinkers, and surfers screaming in the alleys, dopers out on food errands, flatland guys in for a night of hustling stewardesses, flatland ladies with all too grounded day jobs hoping to be mistaken for stewardesses. Uphill and invisible, traffic out in the boulevard, to and from the freeway uttered tuneful exhaust phrases which were echoing out to sea. Where crews of tankers sliding along hearing them could have figured it were wildlife taking care of nighttime business on an exotic coast. In the last pocket of darkness before the glare of beachfront drive, they came to a pause, a timeless pedestrian gesture in these parts that usually announced a kiss, or at least a grabbed ass. But she said, "Don't come any further. Somebody might be watching by now." "Call me or something. You never did let me down, Doc. Don't worry, I'll... No, I mean, really, ever." "Oh, sure I did. You were always true." It had been dark at the beachfront for hours. He hadn't been smoking much, and it wasn't headlights. Before she turned away, he could swear he saw light falling on her face, the orange light just after sunset that catches a face turned to the west, watching the ocean for someone to come in and on the last wave of the day in the shore and safety. At least her car was the same, the Cadillac ragtop she had forever, a '59 Eldorado Biarritz, bought used on one of the lots over at Western, where they stand out close to the traffic so it'll sweep away the smell of whatever they're smoking. After she drove away, Doc sat on the bench down on the esplanade, a long slope full of lighted windows ascending behind him, and watched the luminous blooms of surf and lights of late commuter traffic zigzagging up the distant hillside of Palos Verdes. He ran through the things he hadn't asked, like how much he'd come to depend on Wolfman's guaranteed level of ease and power, and how ready she was to go back to the bikini and t-shirt lifestyle, and how free of regrets. And least askable of all, how passionately did she feel about old Mickey? Doc knew the likely reply. "I love him. What else?" With the unspoken footnote, and the word these days of being way too overused, anybody with a claimed hipness loved everybody, not to mention other useful applications, like hustling people into sex activities they might not, given the choice, much care to engage in.